Welcome to this week's Escape Your Limits podcast. On this week's episode, we come to you live from Sibec, North America in Coronado, California. Thanks to Rob Shannon, the Global Event Director for QuestX, we were allowed to record a series of short interviews with some of the leading operators and founders attending the event to give us their up-to-date state of the industry. In this first of a two-part series, we speak to Joel Tallman, the CEO and founder of Move Brands, Jeran, a director at Valley Health, Peter Jenkins, the Director of Fitness for Blink Fitness, and Robert Shannon, the Global Director for Sibec. I hope you get one or two takeaways from this week's episode, and if you do, please leave a short review so that we can get this out to more people. Many thanks for listening. Mr. Shannon, how are you doing?
Good, Matthew. How are you? Good to see you.
Very good.
Always good to see you.
This is a beautiful location. I've been out here to Coronado and San Diego.
It is. We're very lucky, actually. Today, we've got beautiful sun. It's been some of the, what they call May gray or gray May.
Well, I kind of hear that quite a bit. It's June gloom, and yes. I didn't know about May gray, but now I do.
But we're very fortunate today and delighted to have such a wonderful crowd here for the Sibec. This is our 19th Sibec here in North America.
Really?
And I think you've probably been to most of them.
Well, I've done a lot of the European ones.
Yes.
It was they've been very special events for me. Helped me make lots of decisions about holidays and stuff over the years. So
very important decisions.
Yeah, that's right. So what's it been like trying to organise an event, find a venue, and choose where you want to go with everything that's going on at the moment?
It's been quite. Thank you. It's been quite labor intensive in that we had this resort booked for 2 years ago, and we had the COVID pandemic. We had to cancel and move with 8 weeks to go to Arizona, and then we came back here for a contractual agreement. But it's been difficult, and it's difficult in the sense that people are so, in resorts and businesses are all understaffed. You know, they're talking about the great migration away from work, and you need to find a property that's close to an airport that can handle the size of our group, that has the services and the rooms that we need. So. And with COVID and with the change in the economy, it's been a bit of a difficult task this year, but we've accomplished it. And we've got an amazing crowd, and I'm quite happy.
And it must be a challenge to kind of secure costs that far ahead as well. I know certainly, like if you're manufacturing anything, fixing costs for more than 24 hours almost at the moment seems difficult.
Exactly. We've taken a lot of hits financially because we have to make commitments. For example, we fly and we transfer people to the resort. Those costs have almost doubled since we budgeted and planned.
Right.
So you can't pass those along. You have to assume and eat some of those costs. So it has been very difficult that way. We live in a different world right now. You bob and you know, you make things work on the fly. So it has been a challenge, but. I'm happy to say we have, I believe, 92 different suppliers, manufacturers here this year, 90 club organizations, the owners and operators of those organizations, and all in all, a success in a different time.
So how does that compare to what it used to be like? Is that a typical similar number of suppliers and operators as pre-pandemic?
It is,
Right.
and I'm quite proud of that. To be, if I can pat myself on the back, which I shouldn't do, it is, but the timing was more up to the wire. You know, people were the folks that wanted to come didn't know if they could get away because of their staffing or their time. We're all being pulled in different directions, working 2 and 3 different jobs each. So it wasn't where we had been. It just took a lot more work to get there, but it is now at what we had budgeted and planned.
Right. Okay.
Hope that gibberish made any sense.
And how is it been to get suppliers on board? Because I think we all know and on the operators, but I'll come to that in a minute. But for the suppliers, you know, most of them have been supplying the commercial space, unless they've been able to sell into the home, have had a pretty tough time of it. So have you found that there's still a lot of, you know, kind of a lot of interest in getting out and starting to exhibit and do shows again?
Now, we did Sibec last year, as you know. It was sort of a smaller event because of the pandemic and concerns. This year was a whole new set of problems, if you will, or challenges, if you will. There's no problems. It's getting the materials, as you say, the products from overseas to California, finding a shipping truck to get into, and then finding someone to drive that truck. And so a lot of orders are for the future, and it has made a big difference in the decision making. It's been harder to convince these folks that they're not working for a sale of this year, but maybe next year and in the following year. The industry has certainly changed, and it's across all industries. But the lack of materials, the lack of it's been a real challenge.
Yeah, have you had a chance to kind of have conversations with many manufacturers at all recently?
Not so much the manufacturers. But the actual the wholesalers, the retailers, the commercial side of things, just saying that they've got orders they cannot fill. They've got the orders, they're happy with the sales, but now some are being canceled, some are being postponed, and a lot have turned to the home fitness to sort of fill a void, if you will, because of clubs closing. Some whole-on club organizations going out of business. And there's been a lot of mergers. On both the equipment and the club side, so it is a different landscape than it's been. And but I think the tenacity, the strength, and the confidence of this industry, held on, and it will be back if it's not back already for some.
Right. So what are you seeing on the operator side then? What are those conversations been like? Are they kind of excited to come here and find new opportunities to expand their facilities, or are they, where would you say a lot of those are?
Very good question about the buy side. There are a few that will be pushing their purchases back. Everyone understands that it's a competitive world and they're competing with each other. They have to put fresh paint, if you will, new products, new services, new amenities, update their products. So that's happening and will continue to happen. As I said, there's been obviously some acquisitions and mergers in the club world, but the bigger players are understanding that they need to keep purchasing and need to keep making it happen. They have to keep their members happy, and it is so competitive. They need to have new and different products and services to provide, and they come here just for that. What should I do? And a lot of club owners and operators come to Sibec to talk to each other. Yes, of course, meet the suppliers, find out what they have to offer, find out what they can do and how they can work together. But they also like to get a pulse of the industry, hear from each other, and share war stories, if you will.
That's right. Have you found any kind of people that wouldn't normally come that are now here, or people that would, and I'm not saying specific names, but types of businesses? Is there any types of businesses that are not coming that you've seen, in terms of sectors that they're operating, or anything that's new? That I noticed, for example, we don't normally see like Marriott, but they're here representing the hospitality sector, I guess. So any kind of changes like that?
That's a great question and a great observation, Matthew. To expand and to grow the business, and some of the clubs have either unfortunately had to close or reduce the number of properties. The suppliers, the manufacturers are looking to the hospitality side of the industry to sort of fill that gap and to focus on hotels and resorts as potential clients. Because of that, I was more than happy to source and secure Ritz-Carlton Marriott to be here. A company out of Canada, Newcastle Resorts. So yes, I think you're going to see more of that going forward. That it will not be historic as it has been historically, simply health and fitness clubs, but it'll be a myriad of buyers and organizations, from multi-unit housing properties to hotels that are now turned into resorts, to maybe even more on the side of the colleges, universities, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
We have to grow and
diversify.
change the market. We have to diversify. Is the right word. Every day's a challenge, as you know personally.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us, that's really been some of the things that have actually kept us going. Is kind of looking for other markets that are still. I suppose it's made me realise that fitness is bigger than ever, but where it's taking place is changing. As you say, it could be a hotel, it could be apartment, it could be schools if that's a kind of market for people. So
it's not for all, but there are some organizations that do go with the college universities. It won't be a primary, but it'll be part of the mix.
Right.
Sorry.
I noticed also there's seems to be more. I don't know whether there is, but like YMCA's, JCC as well. That I don't know whether that's typical. I just happen to.
No, that's right. It's not typical. There has been some demand from the suppliers, and I do my best to listen and not be the decision maker, but the one who sort of takes in the opportunities and tries to provide them. There's requests for some of the not-for-profits to be here. I haven't had any YMCA's and still don't, but the JCCs, yes. Right. And that's one you truly have to vet. Need to find JCCs that are multiple locations with substantial budgets that are actually in spending and buying modes. It takes a lot more vetting, if you will,
right,
to secure.
And what about QuestX? What have I guess you guys have also had to. My assumption is anyway, try to provide reasons for people to spend money again and come out. Like, are there any things that you've had to do outside of trying to find other people to make the event interesting? That anything else that you've had to do to sort of stay
relevant?
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's been just a lot more work for Rob to contact and reach out to and keep folks interested in coming and getting out of their office and experiencing live events again, if you will, and explain the benefits again to a lot of the suppliers as to why an event like Sibec is so important to them. If the sale's not now and the sale's tomorrow or the next day, to meet live and maybe not have to travel to 12 different cities to meet 12 buyers, they can do it all right here in 3 days with one flight, 2 flights back home, but that sort of thing. No, we haven't had to make any sort of other incentive offers or benefits of that sort yet. Knock on plastic.
Well, I've seen you got a military workout or something. That's something new. I've not seen that one. But is that right? Or
that's a good observation too. I've always wanted to have some diversity and some morning workouts and that sort of thing. Lucky enough to have a contact, a gentleman named Jeff Gum, who is a naval SEALs trainer and actually developed the workout for the Coronado Navy SEALs. Jeff is going to come and provide those that are strong enough and willing enough to try a 45-minute Navy SEAL training and then 45 minutes of self-defense. Oh, wow. We also have another morning workout with TRX, and yes, I guess that was a little added value to add to the program. I'm always looking to diversify or add more, and it comes from people like you, Matthew, suggestions and ideas. Some are, can be done, some can't be done, but we'll always try to make it more interesting.
Fantastic, excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to this event in beautiful Coronado. I'm looking forward to have a walk around the resort, actually. So, thanks for inviting us over here. And
oh my gosh, thank you very much.
Mr. Peter Jenkins, how you doing?
Yes, good. How are you?
Very good. Good to see you in San Diego.
Happy to be here, yeah. Nice setting.
Yeah. How's business?
It's good. It's good. The last couple of months have been really actually record-setting for Blink. March was the biggest sales month in company history for new members. And February was the biggest February for a single month in history. So
I know New York was pretty badly hit by COVID, New York and LA. So how long did it take you to sort of get back up from when they allowed clubs to open again?
Sure. Yeah, the bulk of our locations are in New York, New Jersey, and Los Angeles, and a lot of the areas had quite a few months of closure, but even after reopening, dealing with occupancy limits and different mandates and things that were difficult for both the staff and member base. So I think the last couple of years we've had a lot of say ebb and flow, depending on that local area and municipality and what's been going on.
Right.
But what we've seen, especially now, is that when things lift and when people feel more comfortable, they're coming back in large numbers.
Right.
and they're really doing it with a high level of engagement. So we're seeing higher check-ins than we really ever have. March was up double digits to March of 2019 in terms of people actually coming and checking in.
Right.
So
when I was we saw each other a couple of weeks ago. You mentioned that there's a slight sort of, or when you went into one of the clubs, you were starting to see more women. So were you particularly hit by lack of women in the clubs because of probably what they were dealing with, looking after kids and maybe not going back to work and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I can't comment on specifically what may have caused that shift, but I think that people's schedules have changed, and obviously the work from home and commuter patterns in the city are very different now than they may have been before.
Right.
So one thing we've noticed definitely, not isolated to gender, is that the patterns throughout the day of when people are coming are very different. A lot of our Manhattan locations used to be early morning, late at night, and now it's a little bit more consistent, and vice versa in the suburbs. So I think probably to your question, that redistribution of visits helps people feel, I think, more comfortable to come in, make sure they have equipment available. So things have just kind of spread out, I think, a little bit throughout the day. So
have you seen a difference between the city clubs and the ones that are out of the centres, more sort of like rural areas and that?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, really, it varies so wildly. Suburban Long Island versus New Jersey or other markets on how they trade and how the patterns have gone. But I mean, definitely Manhattan during certain parts of the pandemic was low traffic. There was a lot of people working from home that used to come into the city and they weren't anymore. But at the same rate, we've seen some of those people change their home facility, and they're visiting a suburban location now instead of Grand Central in Manhattan. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you guys got clubs both where people commute into and from then?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And has that been fairly balanced in terms of, you can see that people are just not coming in, and is it through the memberships of your clubs, would you say?
Yeah, I think we've got a good presence in the tri-state, New York and Jersey and Long Island area. So we do have a lot of gyms that, pre-pandemic, somebody may have been based in Manhattan and occasionally visited in their suburban area, and that flipped, right? So they were going into the closest gym near them. So.
Thank you for supporting the Escape Your Limits podcast. If you're thinking about creating a unique and engaging fitness space to take your fitness to the next level, then we have you covered. Escape Fitness design and manufacture some of the most innovative, attractive, and durable functional training and free weight equipment used by many of the best trainers and fitness brands across the globe. As a valued listener, we are offering you a 10% discount off many of the products on our website. You can check out the full range by going to escapefitness.com and use the code DUMBBELL. That's escapefitness.com using the code DUMBBELL. That's it from me. Please enjoy the rest of this interview. What about the things that people are using on the gym floor? Have you seen any changes in that? So, for example, have you seen certain areas be more busy than they used to be, and you're having to kind of figure out how that will, that design of the gym floor may have to evolve, or is it pretty similar to what it always was?
It's not similar at all, actually. And in my background, dealing with personal training directly and functional fitness, right, in your realm, definitely think that post-pandemic, people have gotten more comfortable with strength training as a whole. Functional equipment and things that they may have potentially been intimidated by or not so familiar with before COVID. Obviously, in those areas where gyms were closed for a prolonged amount of time, people got whatever they could get their hands on, a kettlebell, a dumbbell, laundry detergent bottles, and just being creative and doing more body weight and things that are not necessarily a treadmill or a machine. Not to say that we don't still get good usage on those, but I think there's definitely a trend towards strength and functional right now.
And what about machines? Because I guess those are things. I know when I got back into the gym, it was getting onto some of these machines that you've not been able to use before. So have you seen more sort of strength machine usage as well, or is it more sort of free weights and functional, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, most people probably couldn't put a power rack in their backyard. So there's definitely people that are very excited to come back to the gym and, squat and do plate loaded machines and things that they didn't have access to for a long amount of time. But I think per one of your previous questions with the increase in female members coming in and using the gym, I think just in general the population got more comfortable with not necessarily just being on a treadmill and having to figure out different ways to let's say get cardiovascular activity but with weights or with their own body weight,
right.
As opposed to just running. So
how's personal training gone then? Have you seen any changes in that? I suppose with people being maybe stretched financially in some cases, I would think as an uneducated person in this that would be affected. Is that the case? Or
I think we were very fortunate that pre-COVID, our personal training offering was incredibly affordable in our competitor set. I'd like to say we're the most affordable option, so that's really helped us in that regard. Our sessions have been as low as $30 a session for a half hour with a certified trainer. Really good programming. So I think that while obviously there's been challenges with people's income with COVID, those who wanted to come back, return to fitness, get a really good plan in place, we were a great affordable option for personal training. So we've actually had a higher percentage of people who take an introductory session become a client than we ever have in history. So our volume has been a little lower, but the number of people proportionally deciding to work with a trainer is up.
And what about digital? I know you've done that. When we spoke previously, you mentioned that you had the kind of Omicron thing, and there was a little bit more of an interest in that again. But is that something you see as being part of your business that may not have been as strong before, or is it just a case depending on whether people are afraid to come in or not?
Well, we did launch virtual personal training with our partner Flexit. It's powered by Flexit, and that's actually accessible to both members and non-members, which is pretty big breakthrough actually for a brand like us. We've always had a large population of trainers, but traditionally they were only available in the gym to a member. So I think that platform has definitely been great to be on, and probably exposed us to a lot of new people that wouldn't have been with a Blink trainer before. But digital on the whole, so through the Blink app, we've made a lot of advancements during those closure periods with our product and technology teams and other partners like Flexit, including things like we were calling it Get Up and Blink. It's now shifted to Workout Wednesdays, but features with our personal trainers doing, live workouts and then now pre-recorded workouts, nutritional advice, recipes and things like that, up to meditation and self-care. So I think started with, being a utility for people to use when they couldn't get to the gym, and now has really gotten to a place where it's more supplemental for them that they stick with and they use ongoing. But it was a major factor to accelerate getting on to more resources with digital than we had before.
Do you think that's something that people will now expect going forward? Because I correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys kind of are also picking up a lot of sort of more first-time exercises as well. So with some of those people, are they seeing that as, well, if I'm going to join a gym, I'm going to expect to be able to come in, but I'm also going to expect something when I'm not in the gym in terms of support?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the table stakes are definitely higher now, right, for probably the whole industry when it comes to digital, and being able to access that kind of information and schedule directly with a personal trainer, which is another feature we launched, and being able to see availability and book and get help through the app. I mean, I think it's a big plus. It's a mixture of both. It's people returning to fitness, obviously, that have been on a hiatus and not been able to come, and it's a lot of new members that have decided to start a journey. So Blink has always been positioned around being approachable and affordable, and making sure that we have accessibility. So I think now that word means digital. Right. It doesn't, it's not limited to just coming to the physical location.
Yeah. As the pandemic changed the potential market that you guys have got to go after. So what I mean is, have you found people that probably weren't considering getting off the couch and joining a gym, and now you're starting to get a sort of a new group of people that you can bring in to sort of grow the share of the market or the penetration rate, or are you still sort of, do you feel you're still circulating a similar group of people? The reason I ask is we're at the Boutique Fitness Summit, and they were talking about how that even with there being 30% less clubs around, there's still a lot more clubs with the same penetration of the population. So are you finding that people are now sort of questioning their health and saying, well, I've got to find somewhere, and you're able to sort of pick up a whole new group of members at all?
Right. Yeah, I think so. You started out mentioning it, but worth repeating, March was the biggest sales month for membership in company history. So that's, dating back to 2011. February was the biggest February that we've ever had. So, there's definitely people coming back to us, and then we have a really, really large group of people joining a gym for the first time. It's a lot about how Blink is positioned, being so affordable, having accessibility to trainers and great equipment such as Escape, by the way, shameless plug there.
Thank you.
It's hard to find in our space oftentimes for people. So I think we've been really competitive, and now that sort of migration is happening with people coming back, we're in the right place.
What do you think is some of the things that are giving people confidence to come back? And you mentioned that when, again, beginning of the year, things slowed down, people were worried about Omicron. Is it cleanliness? Is it that people have to wear masks? Is it what are there some things that you've seen that kind of gives them the confidence to come back in, or is it just a case of depending on where they're working and how they're working, more of their own personal lifestyle?
It's all of the above, which is what's made this time so challenging, and also really rewarding when we're able to work with our teams and really drive great results again. It feels like a big win. But yeah, so cleanliness, definitely a huge factor, and the mandates varied by locality can definitely impact the gym traffic. But I think that you see it in restaurant, you see it in cinema, you see it in a bunch of other things. People are returning to normalcy for them, whatever that means, and coming to the gym is definitely part of that.
And as you've got good experience of different fitness products out there, but with Blink, I suppose, really focusing on a slightly different market than I suppose some of the other brands, even within your sort of ownership group. Do you think you have to, your proposition has to be different in terms of what people want to get them onto a fitness journey and hold their hand until they get the results? Do you have to sort of offer or support them in slightly different areas than maybe a kind of traditional mid-market big box,
sure,
as an example?
Yeah, I think we have a unique challenge with that. We definitely want to make sure that somebody who's new to fitness or maybe has a little bit less experience in that has a really clear path and knows what to do and how to do it and when they should be doing it, and all those sort of basic tenets of fitness that are probably really daunting and unfamiliar to somebody when they first start. And that's a huge focus for Blink. So whether that's again through the app and having workout journeys and content that they can follow along with when they're in our gyms or at home. Our personal trainers are accessible. Everybody gets obviously a startup session and can work with them at low rates. And then a lot of the stuff that we're working on, which we chatted about a little bit recently, as far as looking at how to really lay out the gym and offer these features that make it intuitive and make it easy to navigate. The flip side of that, though, I would say too, is we have a big variety of people. So there's people that are super experienced and do know how to use the gym and want to make sure that they have what they need, right, in our setting. So trying to make sure that we help the new person while keeping the more experienced folks satisfied is a big challenge. But
so finally, people, you're offering a quality product and it's a service product. How have you seen my guess is you've got the same labor challenges as everybody else. What have you seen, and how are you going about kind of retaining and also maintaining that quality of service with it being sort of relatively difficult to sort of get staff essentially.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, Blink has always been about our people, and a lot of companies say that obviously, but Blink family is definitely tight knit, and we've got a lot of really great folks that have been with us pretty much from the beginning or for quite a long period of time, and it's definitely been challenging to retain people and really grow. But I think while making some tough decisions, we've done as much as we can to keep our employees happy and safe throughout this whole journey, and at the same time still create new growth opportunities for people, and help them actually keep delivering that product and experience. And so I think this year in particular, it's really great to be starting to get back to some of that team building and things that we weren't able to do for long periods of time. So the company tradition of having a summer picnic is back this year for the first time, and we get pretty much every manager in the company together and have a great time together. So that's one example, but we're definitely trying to focus on building our teams and delivering that experience.
Personal trainers have probably been one of the big group that have gone off and figured out that they can do it themselves. Have you seen any people that have kind of done that and actually thought, there's a trend to actually think, well, it's probably not quite as easy. Maybe it was good at a time when there was lots of people not being able to go to gyms, but
Sure.
Are you seeing trainers actually come back and realize, well, maybe it's better to be part of a group like Blink, for example?
Yeah. My answer is heavily biased by being in New York, right? Which is like always been super competitive for trainers, and PTs have always had opportunities to be independent or work in different centers, and that's something that I think that market is really known for. It's a difficult place.
Yeah.
So that's definitely happened, yes, through COVID and virtual and different things. But I think Blink had some things that positioned it uniquely to go into this. So, for example, with personal training, we've always really, really welcomed the more part-time trainer in addition to our full-time folks. So a lot of brands have, a minimum of availability or sessions for the trainers to hit. We don't. So especially in the New York market where you have people that are, holding down full-time careers in other industries but are passionate about fitness, want to train on nights and weekends, that's really always been a focus for us. So I think that we were not as impacted by some of that. Certainly, we were to an extent, but we had a lot of people that were, able to sort of weather the storm, so to speak, and stay on and keep training once we reopened.
And are you having to invest in educating and upskilling? Do you think is that something you guys do at the moment?
Yeah,
you do?
Absolutely.
And do you see that being important for people to coming through the doors from a training perspective?
I think probably now more than ever, for sure. Talking to a couple other folks in the certification industries, and a lot of them are seeing big performance in terms of people becoming certified,
right?
Or trainers that were sidelined, let's say, and getting additional certifications and working on their development. So yeah, we want to continue making that a focus for our folks.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Pete.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks,
thank
Matt.
you.
Appreciate it.
You were putting on your mic pack very confidently. Were you like an aerobics instructor back in the day or something?
I'm a worship leader.
Okay.
I've been for 35 years.
Really?
So I don't usually wear the lapel. I usually handheld, but I've been around mics a lot. I was a voice major in college.
Oh, okay.
So I got a little music background.
Very good. Very good. So Move Fitness, tell us a little bit about what they're up to now.
Well, we're staying busy. I mean, like everybody, I think the challenges with COVID have also created opportunities, and so we're certainly in an expansion mode right now. Just added 2 new clubs in the last year. Most recently, we opened up in June up in Everett, Washington. We've just signed a new lease in Troutdale, Oregon for a 55,000 square foot club. That's going to it'll be a wonderful facility for us. And so we're continuing. We have several LOIs out. So as a brand, we are really expanding right now. And it's been fortunate, been challenges for everybody, but then those challenges create opportunity.
So how would you define what Move is? How do you differentiate yourself from everyone else? What's the kind of positioning?
Yeah, it sounds kind of silly every time I say it, but When I left other brands that were very high profile and identified very easily in our industry, but when I started developing Move, I first started with the name, and I wanted to come with something that was very non-threatening. And movement is something that applies whether you're 5 years old or 85 years old. Everybody's got to move. So that means something different to everybody at different levels. But it was really about member results and really focusing on what the members' goals are and helping them achieve that, whether it's through weight loss, body symmetry changes, challenges that we do a lot, those types of things, the different types of programming that we sometimes license out. We do it within our own four walls also, but it really was about member results and focusing on that. Started out really with a four-pronged R approach, which is results equals retention equals referrals equals revenue, but then subsequently have added relationship because we see the success the boutiques have, and we also have a boutique concept, and so we've added relationship to that because that's why people are so involved in, I think, in the boutique fitness, is that they develop such close relationships. They get the great results from those relationships, but it also becomes a third place where people can come and kind of leave at the door the stresses of the world, and just the benefits of exercise change their lives.
Right. Where were the most of your clubs, or where, like going through the pandemic, what states are most of your clubs based at that particular time?
Well, South Carolina, we have 7 clubs in the Columbia, South Carolina territory. And then we're in Oregon and Washington. We have associate clubs in Idaho and Montana also. And so very different in terms of the way that the local governments affected them. Effectively in Oregon and Washington, we were closed for 9 months. South Carolina was less. But we've performed very well, which has been in our Northwest markets and things like that. So we're excited to come out of it, but you're also a little tenuous because you don't know, well, are we done with this thing, or are we going to start moving into some different things? But yeah, we're all over the country.
How did you find it, particularly up in the Northwest, to get people back in when they said that you can open again? Did that take a long time, or was it quite, relatively quick?
Well, there's a whole demographic that is very cautious. And I think even to some degree, they're still waiting to come back and see what it's like. But there were also a lot of people that were almost like defiant in that, you've shut me down. You've told me what I couldn't do. Well, I'm going to show you what I can do. And so a lot of people were really anxious to come back and exercise. And so we recovered really fairly quickly, which was nice to see because we were down for so long, couldn't develop those relationships, didn't know what people were doing. A lot of things were going online and all those kinds of things, as well as we went online with some programming and those types of things. But at the end of the day, people like those relationships. It's that smile when they walk in, being recognized, being around that community of people. And I think that was really important for people, for their recovery, for their health, and the recovery for the social aspects also.
How was the online part of your business through the pandemic? Was that really just a way of keeping those relationships more than anything else?
Absolutely. It was just, again, when you care about the results, it's one thing to say, well, our dues are shut off and our revenue streams and things like that, but it also ended people's workouts, at least as for us being able to provide it to them. So for us to have a significant impact on them from a exercise standpoint, we had to provide something. And so we did that through group fitness classes and those types of things, coaching through our personal trainers and things like that.
How have you been able to kind of create, get any dialogue with your members now to see whether their needs have changed at all as they come out of that? Like, are they just wanting to get back in and just do what they did before? Or are you finding that any kind of new trends that people are asking that probably weren't as important pre-pandemic?
Well, it's really, really interesting because some of the things are very predictable, and then some of them aren't. And we use the MXM product.
What's that?
It's member experience management through Blair McCaney and his company, and it queries our members. So we get a lot of member feedback, create a lot of member metrics in terms of what the people want, and we've used that for a long time. And so that's kind of a mainstay on how we manage our business every day. I mean, still some people are very concerned about others not wearing masks.
Really?
And we hear about that on a daily basis. that restricts the way some people work out. Even they won't even come and work out. But we're really encouraged too by our small group classes, which we call Move Tribe. Our bar classes and some of those programs are really growing again, and I think that has to do with the social aspect of exercise. And they've kind of, some people have said, I feel comfortable enough to exercise in a group setting, and so they're doing that, and they're coming back in groves in that area of our business.
Are you able to identify the difference between people that are existing exercisers and people that, as a result of what's happened, feel as though health is now important and they need to find a brand to go and get healthy with?
Yeah, I think health has just become such a part of our everyday lives now, and that exercise and the benefits of exercise are even more prominent. I mean, we're starting to see all demographics, whether it be, I mean, certainly we've heard a lot about how certain demographics are really challenged by what we've had from a health perspective, but we're starting to see a lot of those also saying, well, I need to exercise more now. And so we're starting to see expanded, especially in the senior programming and those types of things, a lot of children's programmings. We also have nutrition as a major focus for us, which includes supplementation, and so we're seeing supplementation really be a focus for people, especially vitamin D and things like that we're being told about. So people are listening to what's being told, and I think they're applying it, and we're benefiting from it in the exercise industry.
Right. Do you think that's going to result, particularly for the Move brand, do you think that's going to result in you having a bigger catchment of people to sort of start bringing into your business? And if so, do you have to figure out how to sort of make your brand the brand of choice for those?
Well, I think that, again, we have basics in terms of movement and for the brand, movement and getting results is key. But it comes down to those everyday touches of each individual club. And I can tell you, each club, and depending on where we are, has a different personality and the way that we relate. We've got some clubs that are very driven by a senior demographic. We have some that are driven, by high schoolers and college kids and all those kinds of things. And the clubs take on those personalities. I don't really, as a brand, want to dictate what that personality is, because I think we're there to serve the community, and I think it's very, very important to take the dynamics of that community and then let that kind of permeate what our brand is in that particular market.
Yeah. How are you looking at your space in the next few years? Are you optimistic about there being? I know you've obviously got new clubs in the pipeline, but are you optimistic about going back and expanding again? Are you sort of thinking, look, we need to watch things out for another sort of 12 months based on everything else that's going on in the world? How's your view, in your position of where to go next and how hard to go in or back off?
Well, I certainly understand a cautious approach, because we've come from somewhere that we've never been before, and what's it going to look like. But particularly for us, we're in expansion mode. And it just, when you talk about when certain people are being really challenged, that also opens up opportunities for others. And we're not really trying to prey on anybody, but there are some that have been less fortunate and are really challenged in their operation. That's creating whether it's specific facilities that we're taking over, which we've certainly done during the pandemic, or it also takes out certain players in a marketplace, and now the demographic becomes even more opportunity there, and so we're expanding into different demographics that we're not in right now. You've
been around for a long time in the industry, and you've seen a lot of things come and go, although you probably haven't seen a pandemic.
Yeah.
But what would you say as a brand in the fitness space now? What are some of the important skills that are required now different to before? So if you're hiring an executive team or just trying to sort of decide where to focus, are there any sort of differences that you've seen throughout your career that specifically apply to where we are today?
Well, I think it's a very interesting employment marketplace today. I think the one thing that we've confirmed even more, that we knew this all along, but we used to kind of feel like, well, if you put in a great facility, they will come. And that's true to a degree, if you do your analysis and you understand who your competition is. But at the end of the day, we can all we can all lease or buy the same four walls. We all have the same opportunity for equipment. The difference is the people. And today's employment environment is like none I've ever seen. It's harder to hire people. The people that you do hire, the good people, they're probably more valuable than ever because they're harder to find right now. And so I think that's what really separates everything, is that this pandemic has brought such a hiring. You see it everywhere. When you're going through a city that's now hiring, wages are going up. And so I think it's because of that competitive environment for everyone to hire the great people, it also exacerbates the problem or emphasizes how we have to have great people in those clubs. Because we tell it all the time to them when I do my training. I tell the front desk, you're the most important people here because there needs to be a smile, there needs to be recognition, building rapport with those people. Equipment doesn't do that. The benefits of exercise don't do that, although they reap the benefits and they feel great. But this has to be a place where they're recognized, where they're made to feel good, they can drop the cares of the day. So I think more than anything, it's really underscored the value of great employees, and then we have to be able to retain and track and train those great employees.
And on that then, what are you guys doing to attract some of the best people, and then not only attract them but keep them, because that must be quite difficult as well, particularly things like personal training and that, where a lot of them have gone off and started on their own. And
I think a lot of it starts because of the nature of how we get our employees. A lot of times we get our employees from our members. They get around the club, they learn the environment, they maybe change themselves through exercise, and they start looking at, hey, this might be a neat industry to be in, and then the others come from referrals. So what we've really done is we've really hunkered down to almost life coach our existing employees. That means taking care of, we're in an inflationary period. You might be making exactly what you did last year, but it's not worth as much money now. And so we're teaching them how to take care of their debt, doing a lot of life coaching things, talking about how important their relationships are when they go home, when they're not at work, and taking care of their physical selves and all the different kinds of things. So I think the life coaching is really, really important to invest in your employees now, because they're the ones that go out and refer. They're the ones that talk about, well, I work at Move, and I love it there. I'm making good money, I've got great relationships, good facilities, when everything's feeling good. So I think the investment in the existing employees to improve their life actually is a strong recruitment tool for us as we grow new employees.
Yeah. Is that something that you see many people doing? I've not heard many people like doing life coaching for their staff. I'm sure there are, but I've not heard it. Is that, do you know that, is that sort of fairly common, or are you?
I'm not really exposed, probably close enough to other people, but I would imagine people are doing that because, I mean, just through social media and things like that, I see a lot of the great companies that we compete against and that we learn from. They seem to be investing time in group settings when people are going out, whether it's retreats or whatever. So I think a lot of people are identifying employees are really, really important right now.
In terms of Sibec, so what are some of the key things that you've decided to come here for this year?
Well, we're actually moving into a recovery brand, which will be new for us under Move Brands. And I think recovery is so much a natural progression with exercise. I mean, really, what are we doing? We're breaking the body down. We're traumatizing the body. As we train, the results of an exercise program are really the body's defense mechanism to trauma. Well, that means recovery is significantly important, whether it's from an injury or it's just life. We teach quality movement. Well, sometimes your movement is really, really affected by injury or aging or whatever it might be. And so we're going to try to move into that. So I think there's a lot of emphasis here on the recovery, which, again, is just a natural progression for exercise. I think because we are growing, I think it's time to, we're going to get back in with the equipment companies and start talking to them. And right now they seem very happy to talk about that. And so as the industry comes out of this period, I think that there's going to be a great opportunity to share and work together to grow our industry back, get things going. And so it's really some of the main things, but recovery is going to be really, really important too.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
Joel, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate
thanks,
it.
Matthew.
Thank you. Jeffrey,
Matthew.
Valley Health and Medical Center. So what are you guys doing at Sibec? It's is this a different space to what you're normally used to, is it?
Yeah, this is definitely a different space. This is my first time at a Sibec event. I've been at a few smaller supplier events that are put on for operators like myself. And I just really enjoy coming here and seeing what's new, especially on the West Coast, getting some beautiful sun, beautiful views behind us, and finding out what's working in the commercial space and how do I take that into a medical fitness center to make us more profitable.
Right.
What's new, what's innovative, and bring that back home to make the best center I can do.
So you have got an amazing center. It's for those of you who haven't seen it, I'd recommend checking it out. I didn't think that medical centers did things like that. You guys must be one of the first to kind of embrace functional training and fitness.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it's been a journey. What medical fitness centers do really well is the customer service, the staff engagement, the member experience. But where we kind of lack is the profitability and how do we generate revenue. And that's what's led me kind of on this journey to find out, what are some of the things that I can bring in a medical fitness center and just take it to that next level to increase our profitability so I can bring more unique designs or projects like what we did.
So when people think of medical fitness, when I heard about it, and when you explained what it wasn't quite the same. So in terms of scale, like how big is the site that this is on?
So where this facility is, it's about 70,000 square feet.
Right.
So we have 2 indoor pools, indoor track, 3 studios, about 6,000 members. And they go from age 6 months old all the way up to 100. So what I tell people is it's cradle to grave fitness,
right,
and everything in between.
Now, but it's on the Valley Medical is on a bigger property, is that?
Yes, it's on a 180 acre campus. It's beautiful. Every tree that grows in the Northern Hemisphere is on that campus. I think I kind of told you a little bit earlier. They spend about $2 million in mulch on this property. It's a sanctuary. A year, yes. They bring in these tractor trailers and they blow mulch. It's unbelievable. It really is. But it's part of that overall feeling of wellness that you want to come to a campus that shows life and prosperity and feeling good, because that's where you're going to come and become and feel good. And that's the unique thing about having a $30 million asset in fitness on a hospital campus. It's I tell people we are the front door to the health system, where we're seeing people on the prevention side, seeing them while they're healthy. But what we're also doing is we're building that brand for Valley Health. So when they do need to have healthcare needs, they trust the health system because they've had a great experience in the fitness center. Then I say that it's also the back door to the health system. So where does somebody go after they've had cancer treatment or have gone through rehabilitation services? They come to the wellness center, and our program we call it's MyFitRx. It's an 8-week program where we transition them back into the center and get them back into the general population.
Right. And just before I get on to what happens in the facility, the building itself is a stone built.
Yeah, it's brick. It's a brick building. Every building on campus is brick. They all look the same. So our building was built 15 years ago, and the new addition that we did together, we had to find the same brick from 15 years ago. So that's it. And it matches perfectly. So it looks like it's been there the whole time.
And you made quite an investment just in the brick alone.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This 6,000 square foot piece that we put in, it was about $2.2 million. Soup to nuts.
Just for the bricks?
Yeah, well, the bricks, the equipment, everything.
Right, okay. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the overlap of the medical side and fitness, and because I guess those two things are generally separate. You go to a fitness studio, you go to a medical center, and what we know, and certainly I guess what we've learned recently is there probably needs to be a lot more work in terms of the prevention to avoid you actually needing to go there. So how do you guys view that wellness journey that you've kind of touched upon just a moment ago?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's a journey, and it's what we've been able to do now at this facility is bring in a different demographic that we weren't able to serve. We were mainly an adult facility with an average age of 55. By adding our new functional training space and with COVID, it's really highlighted the importance of exercise for the general population. So the way that we view it is, in a medical fitness center, we do a really good job with the 80% of the population that don't go to gyms. I think 80% of my members are first-time gym goers. But what we didn't do a very good job of was the 20% that are active exercisers using more of the commercial facilities. And so we wanted to figure out a way to engage those individuals so that we could have that cradle to grave fitness.
Right. And do a lot of the clients that you get in fitness then, are they general referred to once they've been through so what's the main entrance point into?
Yeah, so the main entrance point is it's very similar to your commercial facilities where they're either coming in or we're generating leads. But the unique thing is we do get referrals from the providers. One of the unique things that we have in our facility is we've integrated in our medical health records, but we use something called Epic. And so our providers that are on Epic can send us an automatic referral to the center. My sales team gets a hold of them, gets them into this MyFitRx program, and we get them into the program. And after about 8 weeks, we see a transition rate of about 82% into general population. The unique thing about it, actually, Matthew, is that my average length of stay for my general population is 24 months. For this MyFitRx, it's 36 months. And it's an amazing program. Like I said, it's an 8-week program. They get an intake and a discharge, 14 supervised sessions, 2 registered dietitian sessions, and full access to the gym for 2 months for $99. And people say, how can you afford that? We don't make money on that. Where I make the money, actually where we actually achieve the mission, is we keep them for 36 months in a fitness center, allowing them the chance to reach their goals.
And how do they continue evolving their knowledge and their programming and their motivation once they've finished the initial program? Mm-hmm. Do you provide them with additional support, or do they have a pathway they can work with a trainer or anything like that?
So that's one of the unique things, is those individuals that are working with them are our personal trainers, our fitness specialists. In our facility, we always have a fitness specialist available at any time for any questions. So any member can come up and talk to them, help them with any kind of machine or exercise component. Or if they want to continue with personal training, we encourage that, because we know that's the way that they're actually going to see the results. It's not once they're done with the program, it's over. We constantly are doing reassessments, and we don't charge for that. We're all about trying to gather as much data as we can, so that way we can share it with them, they can share it with their family, and they can also share it with their providers.
Right. So in terms of data, this is something we've heard quite a lot recently. Have you been able to create any data that demonstrates the people that you're getting on the program, how their general health and wellness is compared to people that are not on it? Like, is there any sort of measurable difference to say, look, these people that are coming into these fitness centers are just, they're not getting sick as much, or they don't get these diseases or anything like that?
Yeah, that's kind of the holy grail, really, when it comes to it. But there was a study done at a facility in Canada called RayFit. Now it's socialized medicine, so everybody has to use that healthcare system. So they were able to see the individuals that were using their medical fitness centers and the individuals that weren't. And over 10 years, I think they were able to show that the mortality risks decreased with those who used a medical fitness center from those that didn't use that. And that would be in regards to really any fitness. So, the term we always hear is exercise is medicine. It really is medicine.
Right. And is that something that you guys are going to try and continue to get that data so that you can demonstrate?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm the chairman of the board of directors for the Medical Fitness Association, and that's one of the initiatives that we have in our outcomes task force, is trying to gather information from the medical fitness centers in our association to show that, and then maybe down the line that helps with the reimbursement aspect into fitness. Showing these certified medical fitness centers provide better outcomes. So maybe we can get reimbursement as that. You know, that's kind of the buzz thing that's going on right now that I'm hearing from ACSM as well.
Is there many places across the country that are doing similar things to what you guys are doing?
Yeah, there's about, I think, identified 2,400 medical fitness centers around the country. You know, not all of them are part of the association, though we would love to have them as it, because the bigger the amount of folks that we have, the more that we can attract to it. And so that's one of my goals as the chairman of the MFA, is to show that even if you don't do medical fitness, you know, medical fitness is everywhere right now. Everyone's talking about it. It's the buzzword. I tell people we've been doing it before it was cool. You know, we've been doing it for 30 years in the medical fitness. But I think that's how we can show the commercial facilities, you know, some of the things that we do that they can incorporate so that they can become medically based and still be commercially based as well. I think that's a unique opportunity that COVID has identified for us. And you know, that's what I'm trying to do.
All right. Final question. What have you come to Sibec looking for? Did you have any particular goals or outcomes, or was it just a case of meeting new people and seeing what's out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of it, is seeing what's new, what's innovative. You know, I think life's all about relationships, and the more relationships you can create, I can maybe plug somebody into somebody to help them out. They can help me out. You know, it's just, you know, I wanted to come and meet you personally. I did.
Thank you.
And you know, it's a unique opportunity that I have in front of me. And you know, I was very happy that Crystal and Marty invited me out here to be part of this, and it has not let down.
Fantastic. Well, Jeffrey, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Matthew.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.